terms. All right. Remember, your job is to take things that are a little bit complicated and make it really easy for people. With new starters, portfolio bonds are probably, and I don't know if any of you that have been here longer have felt this way, but they're probably the scariest product. Okay, generally in the industry, it's something that people shy away from when you're new. I don't know why. I think we overcomplicate them. So I want to go through it in simplistic terms because that's essentially how you're going to get a sale. Okay. I might write some stuff on the board. My handwriting's not the best. I might not. So portfolio bond, right? This is the key thing. We also confuse it. In its name, it's called a portfolio bond. So when you're talking to the average client or prospect, the bond actually sets you back because everybody, whether they're financially literate or not, they've heard of the term bond or they Google the term bond, right? And bond's debt. This has got nothing to do with a bond, okay? So generally speaking, I would change the terminology. Yeah, I would just call it a portfolio or a wealth account. Okay, so I promise you, just try to avoid that word bond, certainly in your initial conversations with clients, because if you came to me with something I completely didn't understand, what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to go on Google, I'll type in bond, it's not going to make any sense, and it's super complicated. Okay, so in terms of I'll still refer to it as bond because we're doing it here, all right? But a portfolio bond, what is it? Does anyone actually know confidently what it is?
It's a wrapper where you can have segments in usually.
I'm going too far, but the good first word was right. It's a wrapper. Anything else?
It's a pool of investments that are diversified.
Potentially, might not have to be. It's simply an account, all right? Get it clear in your heads. It's just an account. Okay, what's a bank account? Surely we know that. Just an account, what do you keep in it? Cash. Right, so all it is somewhere to put money in. Okay, but it is a wrapper. All right, and you don't really know that, but I'm going to go over a couple of tax benefits of why you have this. So if you think about it, a lot of clients when you're doing a fact find, yeah, what is it that they've generally got? They might have property. They've got their short-term savings, which is normally cash. Yeah, this is better. Short-term is generally cash. And then they might have their pensions, whether that's a reg or an actual pension, okay, which is more of your longer-term savings. Yeah. Where a portfolio bond, yeah, or a wealth account fits in, is it's for mopping up everything else that you've got. It's your portfolio. Okay, so outside of your short-term cash or your whatever tiny little bits and pieces you've got, or outside of your pension, most people want to build up wealth, don't they? Which is why I call it a wealth account. Okay? So this is for your wealth. Now, what can go into these? What can you put into this account, this bucket? Think of it like a bucket. What can you put into that?
Mutual funds, ETFs.
What can you put into it?
Oh.
Okay.
Stocks, cash. You can't put property into a bond though.
So you were actually right, but I think you were looking at it from a different way, Andy, right? I think you were looking at it from what you're buying. But actually, you can put in cash, and then you can also do in-specie transfers of funds, ETFs, and more importantly, stock or shares, right? That's super, super important, right? Anyone know about currencies? What currencies you can have in a portfolio bond?
Dollars, euros, sterling.
Most of the major currencies, okay? Most of the major, all of the providers, and they're the same as your regular providers, Royal London, Hansard, Providence, they all do these bonds, okay? But you can have multiple currencies, yeah? And this is, for me, a really, really big sales aid as well, okay? I think we don't handle that very well. I think we're looking at it and go, okay, I'll put together a US dollar bond for you or portfolio or a pound one, and people get a bit confused. Most expats in this part of the world, they definitely work off 2 or 3 currencies. If you think about it, dirhams is pegged to the US dollar. Okay, so when we say dirhams, it's essentially US dollar. And then if you're British, you've generally got an association to the UK, which is pounds, or you might have a house in Spain, which is euros, whatever else it may be. So most of us, we have all of these different currencies, but you need one reporting currency. Okay? All right? So a bit like, take Shell, the oil and gas company. Yeah, most of the cash they hold is in what currency?
USD.
US dollars, because it's how oil is priced. Okay, but what is its accounts reported in? Pounds. Why? It's on the UK market, but it holds very little pounds. Most of their cash on account is US dollars. So you need one reporting currency. Okay, so you can actually have people who are, for instance, Spanish, they're going to move back to Spain, and they think in euros, but they're putting dollars into their plan. Yeah, or they're putting a mix of dollars, euros, or whatever. Okay, all it will happen is you'll have all of your balances there in the relevant currency, and then just depending on the exchange rate, you'll have a reporting currency as your bottom line figure. Okay, so that's quite important when you're dealing with individuals. Most of them will say whatever their initial investment is. So if they're doing $100,000, that's how you keep your reporting currency as dollars. But just ask them, which way do you think? You know, they've got an app where they track all of their wealth. What's your reporting currency that you would like it in? The reporting currency has nothing to do with the underlying investment. So if you put in 50,000 euros, $50,000, 50,000 pounds, and you want to make a withdrawal, you can add and remove in those currencies. Okay, it's not a case of you put in, this is US dollars, so you put in euros, they transfer it to US dollars, yeah, and then when you get it back out in euros, it's not that. Okay, it's completely different to a regular savings plan. Yeah. So I would definitely make sure when you're new, just focus on that. I think a lot of people, different nationalities we work with, they've always got a currency they think of. I always ask in a first, if it's a, whatever nationality they are, I say, look, what currency do you think in? Okay, I've been an expat for a long time. Every time I go to the supermarket, I'm converting to pounds. Buy a beer, converting to pounds. Okay, so it's a really good question to ask from the outset. Whether you're doing this product or anything else, can I just ask you, do you still think in pounds, you dollars, you dirhams, whatever it is? Because it makes the conversation a little bit easier to go. Okay? We have a minimum value depending on the provider, but it's typically $50,000 to invest in a portfolio bond. Okay, so it is different to a platform where essentially there's no minimum. Okay, there's generally a 50,000, and then typically any top-ups you want to do. Remember, you don't have to do top-ups, but they start from, obviously this is all currency equivalent, from $7,500. Okay, so it is for people that have money to go into. All right, it's not somebody starting off on their journey. That would be a regular or a platform. Okay. What's the main benefit of one of these accounts? What would you say the main benefit is? The number one benefit?
Tax.
Everyone says tax. I would say that's number 2.
The diversity of what you can hold in one wrapper.
Access to market, yeah. Remember, a lot of people, we've got to drum our jobs down. Yeah, a lot of people like the idea of investing money, but they're unsure of the mechanism to how to do that. Yeah, where these provide absolute fantastic, they're completely different to a regular, is the amount of investment you can buy within these is almost limitless. Okay, any major stock market shares. I mean, you can buy FTSE 350 shares, S&P 2000, or the Russell 2000 shares. You're not limited. It's all in one place. You can get fixed deposits in multiple currencies. You can get virtually any listed fund, any listed ETF in any currency. So it's a one-stop shop that provides you to access to the market. Okay, even if you deal with, and we get it occasionally with slightly older generation, where they shop around for the best fixed deposit. And that Halifax say, well, we'll give you 5.5%. So they walk into Halifax, open up an account, put money on deposit. That deposit matures, Lloyds are offering a better rates. They close the account with Halifax, walk into Lloyds, passport copy, blah, 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 open an account, do it with Lloyds. If you've just got one account where you can access any investment, it's just that ease of getting into the market. Why would you ever need to get rid of this product? Yeah, apart from when you're going to go and spend your money in the future, you can have that account open for any financial instrument, more or less, that you want to go and buy. Okay, the only one you can't obviously invest in via this is crypto, all right, but that will probably change with crypto ETFs. But other than that, we don't have a product in the industry that will allow you essentially full open architecture to the whole investment world. All right, so that's a key point. Second point is tax benefits. Now I started this by saying, tax benefits went along. I started off by saying that a lot of people get scared about this product, okay, when they're new. The reason why they get scared is you've got this wrapper here. On top of that wrapper, if you wanted to, you can put about 9 different trusts that provide different benefits for different things. You can put a company on top of that trust. Yeah? You can look at loads of different companies. So when you get training, which you will, from Darren Jones and Rebecca Ellis on this product, you're all going to be like, oh, that's quite complicated. You want a loan trust above, do you want to, you're overcomplicating it. Okay, always strip it down to the basic need initially. Then if a client said, do you know what, I've got 500 grand with you and I don't think I'm ever going to need that money and my concern is passing it on to the kids, we can look at a trust to add that extra layer. Okay, but in my experience, if you straight off the bat, and you might have done it with a few of your meetings, if you go in and overcomplicate it from the start, your prospects aren't financially literate. They're going to go, that sounds way too complicated, and they'll shy away from it. Okay, so try to drum it down into the main benefits, and it's only when the conversation in future gets on to, I'm thinking of retiring in Portugal, I want to go to Italy, I want this or I want that, that's when we get the technical guys in. Okay, without being disrespectful to the technical team, if the way their knowledge on all of the products, if clients bought that, they wouldn't be in the technical team. They wouldn't be a salaried employee in the technical team because they would earn way more money sitting in front of clients to sell it. Okay, so always just be a little bit cautious of that, of looking for that extra 1% from those guys, but that's not how you go and pitch it to a client. Okay, apart from those rare occasions where the client is super keen on something else.
Oh, sorry.
Go on.
Question, please. As it relates to tax benefits, are there certain nationalities that includes and excludes?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and that's where the technical guys come into. As you know, Americans, you've got to be really hard to do anything past the IRS. Definitely certain nationalities, most European nationalities, certainly Brits, which I'll focus on today, there's tax benefits that are enshrined in law, which I'm going to go on through now. Okay. Any other benefit to these plans?
Segmentation.
Yeah.
So you can allocate certain portions of the overall portfolio to specific individuals, which means that you can circumnavigate certain tax implications by saying that that portion is for you. So it can be quite beneficial in terms of education planning for some people.
Yeah. So we're going to go through that now. Okay, we're going to go through that now, and I also want to talk about something else in a second. Okay, so let's look at some of the tax points, and these are the basic ones. Okay, this is how I would explain it to a client. If they're British, if you've got a Portuguese client, Spanish client, just look up the rules with the technical guys. So I open up a portfolio and I put in 50k. Okay, tax benefit number 1 is these receive gross roll-up. Somebody tell me what that means. What's gross roll-up mean? Anyone want to have a punt, have a little guess?
No capital gain tax.
Careful slightly. Okay, it means the growth within the plan, they grow without you being taxed on a rising basis. Okay, so if I own a stock in the UK and it pays me a dividend, what do I have to do when it pays me a dividend?
Taxes.
Pay income tax. If I own a stock in the UK and I make a gain and I sell it, what do I have to pay?
Capital gains tax.
Capital gains tax. Okay, these things have gross roll-up. Okay, so a common term that you'll hear from tax people is they become pregnant with gains. All right, so think about that. It might not make sense now, but honestly, when you're explaining it to people and you draw it out to people, it does make sense. So let's say I do well from investing, and this is my capital that I put in, yeah, and I grow it by an extra 50k. So this is my growth. Yeah, does that make sense? Obviously you'd see it as 100k within one plan, but think about it just swelling up, it's become pregnant, or draw another circle around that with the gain. Okay, so my taxable event is when? When's my taxable event? Because you said tax-free.
When you sell the portfolio?
When I exit the plan, not the portfolio within it. Okay, so that's a really nice point of why, you know, my Halifax story I gave before, if you've got different portfolios, I want a new one, sell everything, buy everything, you've got a taxable event, haven't you? Yeah, so it's only when you exit the plan. So if we look at UK to start with, and like I said, most nationalities, certainly like other than US, there is a benefit, but they're just slightly different in how they do it. Depends on how long you own the policy for and all of this stuff. But if we look at the UK, it's nice and easy. So point 2, okay, you can make a 5% tax-free withdrawal each year. Okay, and I want to focus on this because it's really, really important. Okay? Basically, for every year you hold the plan, you can withdraw 5% of the capital that you put in. Okay? So, what's the capital I've put in, Ram? 50k, right? So I've put in 50k. So every year I can withdraw 5% of my capital without paying any tax. Even if I live in the UK, I'm a UK tax resident, I can always get my capital back free. Okay? What happens then if I don't take a 5% withdrawal and in 3 years' time I want to take a withdrawal? How much can I take?
15%.
15. It rolls up, guys. Okay? It rolls up. That's super, super important.
And that's only for UK, like, we're not talking about any Schengen countries, like, that I have to talk with the department to.
Talk with the department, if they live here for sure, okay? But we'll go through, like for instance, yours might be Spanish, we'll go through that as well, okay? But we'll look at Brits just for the time being, just to explain how these things work. Alex?
So it isn't all of the capital tax free, but the growth is the 5% you get?
No.
Okay.
Okay? You can get 5%, for this is why I explain it like this, mate.
Right.
Yeah, 5%, we always say this, 5% withdrawals, that's rubbish, mate. It's your capital, which is tax-free. Okay, so let's say this scenario then. I've had this policy for 3 years, and it looks just like this. I've had it for 3 years. But I want to go and withdraw 25%. What happens in that scenario?
15% free, 10% taxed? Or no?
What's taxed?
The capital.
Growth.
Oh, wait.
But you're
Okay.
only paying tax on what you've gained though, yeah?
Let's do it one bit at a time. So
So you
So
can take
okay, so we've agreed that I can take, so after 3 years I can take 15% from here,
Yeah.
yeah? Okay, so I've taken my 15% from here, but I want 25, so now what am I doing?
But do you have growth? You have that, okay, you already have that growth? Then,
Yeah.
Then the remainder comes from your growth, right?
Okay, so I take 10% from here, and it's this amount that is taxed. When is it taxed? Because there's a point we miss out on as well.
Isn't it just taxed at drawdown?
Right? Where's it taxed and when's it taxed? Think about it. I'm in the UAE.
Alright, okay. Just
So what-
whenever you're in the
When you
UK.
return,
But hang on. So if I withdraw it from here, yeah. What's the first question you need to be getting with your clients?
Where are you
Where are
residing?
you
Where do I live? If I'm in the UAE, I could just take all of that growth tax free because we don't tax. If I'm tax resident here, okay? But if I'm back in the UK, it's 10% of that amount that would be taxed. Or would it? Would I pay tax on the 50k?
Well, it,
So it's-
well, it might not be because you've got your personal tax allowance, so it depends how much you're actually going to.
Yeah, pretend you're over the personal tax allowance. You're right.
Time apportionment
Time apportionment relief. Okay, so this is the next massive benefit, okay, for UK time apportionment relief. All right, you've got to drill down into this. Okay, so if my scenario is, so we've agreed that that's taxed, yeah? But my scenario, if, let's say I've been in the UAE for 2 years, and I've been in the UK for 1 year, and I make a withdrawal. How much of that 10%, yeah, of that $5,000 is actually taxed?
how long again, sorry?
So I've been in the UAE for 2 years, and I'm back in the UK for a year, and I come and say, look, I've just got back to the UK, it's super expensive, I want to withdraw some of my growth.
So
So,
it's a
it'd be a
portion,
a third.
33%, yeah.
It'd be a third.
yeah.
It'd be a third, because they apportion the relief based on how long you've had the plan. Okay, but what happens if this is a 3-year story? All right, what happens? So we've got year 1, 2, and 3. What happens though if I put in my 50k and it didn't make any growth? In fact, it went down, and then it did that. So all my growth came in my 3rd year while I'm in the UK.
Then,
Doesn't matter, does it?
Doesn't matter, okay? That's the key point. It doesn't matter when the growth has been attained, okay? It does not matter which year the growth's been attained in. It just looks at that's your growth pot, whether that was all made in 1 day or it was made consistently over 10 years, whether you lived in the UK when the growth was made, whether you lived in the UAE, whether you lived in Spain, that doesn't matter, okay?
So you're still getting time apportionment relief regardless of market volatility.
Correct. Yeah, whereas it's not, oh yeah, but I haven't made any money, I'm going back to UK and I made 100%. It doesn't matter, it will still be spread out over those years. Your growth pot is still the same. Okay? What happens in my scenario, and you'll all get this, went back to the UK, it rained, I got upset, and I came back I'm now in the UAE for 7 years, get bored of the heat and go back here, let's do that 6, and in years here, I go back to the UK. Alright, so I've had the plan 10 years, and I'm back in the UK for the 2nd time, and in this scenario I want to take my money out. What am I going to be taxed on? How much of the growth would I be taxed on?
20%.
20%. Yeah, because 20% of my time that I've had the plan, I've been back in the UK for. Yeah? So what you'll get is a lot of people when you explain it to them, and this is the real crucial moment, is, and a lot of our guys do it, and we're a bit weak on it, is they'll say, before you go back to the UK, you need to set up one of these because it's tax efficient. But actually, when should you set up one of these?
Well, as soon as you
As
can.
soon as you can. Yeah, as soon as you can, because you want to build up your years of tax-free status. Yeah, does that make sense? The longer you've got the plan for. And this is where we mis-sell it to clients. Not mis-sell, but they don't become clients because we struggle on it. Is we go, as long as you set that before you go back to the UK, it's tax efficient, because whilst you're in the UK, all your investments can grow and you don't pay dividend tax, you don't pay tax on growth until you withdraw it, you might be a lower tax rate. No. You want to set it up as soon as possible so you've got time apportionment relief. Yeah? Another silly story, and you'll all get it. UAE for 1 year. UK for 20, UAE for 1 year and I want to make a withdrawal here, what's the tax?
Nothing.
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. Okay, and we have had clients, Nigel Lee's actually got a client, they do move back here purely to access the investments that they've built up because you can get it all tax free. So under that scenario, Mr. Client, you've got a tax bill of 100 grand, move back out here for a year and you've got a tax bill of zero, a lot of people will actually move back over. Okay, so if you're dealing with people that are contractors, it's really important that you know that. A lot of oil and gas guys are, I've got a 2-year contract, or construction guys, then I go back to the UK for a year whilst I find another contract, then I'm here, then I'm there. Yeah, that's the key point, is still set it up. Okay, can you fund this while you're in the UK? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And likewise, you know, it doesn't, I've put the UAE, but they might spend a year in the UAE, 5 years UK, 1 year Nigeria, 5 years UK. The UK is it's any time spent out of the UK. It doesn't have to be the UAE. Okay? So time apportionment relief is your friend on this. I would say more so than the plan just rolling up gross of tax. Okay? But that's another key point of people are going back to the UK, put money in here for your investments, okay? Why? If we're saying, look, I've just set it up, I'm going back to UK next month, I'm going back to UK on a basis, I can let this thing swell up with gains as much as I want, and then I'm in control with how I pay that tax bill. I'll give you an example. I might be unemployed 1 year and my tax rate is really low, like Lewis said earlier. I might decide that I want to go and withdraw some of the growth just because my personal tax rate is so low. Yeah? I've got, you know, it's coming up to April, I've still got 20 grand tax-free allowance. I might want to go and take 20 grand of my growth out. Yeah, because I'm paying less tax. Whereas if I've just got that money in my own name on a platform, if I've just got it invested in a platform, in my own name, and I sell a fund, what do I need to do?
You're going to have to pay tax.
I've got to go pay the tax, yeah, and I could be a top earner. I could be on a 45% tax rate. I'm a top earner, I'm going to have to go pay tax. Yeah, I don't have any allowances that I can use.
But also the other thing you could do is, even if you were in the UK, you could have a segment for...
I'm coming on to that.
All right, so...
Okay, so another thing. Within these plans, actually I want to come back to that. Within these plans, think of them like a pizza. Okay, most portfolio bonds, just by standard, they come in 100 segments. Okay, so, and you would, if you looked at evaluation, you wouldn't know that's in 100 segments. Okay, but they come in 100. Some actually got to 1,000 segments, different segments. The benefit there is this. Okay, I've got a couple of kids. Really young at the moment, but let's say I've got a bond and it's got a lot of money in it, okay, and we're in the UK, me and the family are in the UK, it's got a lot of money and I'm a top earner, and then Oscar, my son, comes and says, I need some money for university, so I cash in my bond, top rate taxpayer, I've got to pay quite a lot of tax. Or, he's 18, like most 18-year-olds these days, he ain't got a job, so what I can do is I can gift X amount of segments, yeah? And say, okay, you need 20 grand, I'll gift you 20 grand's worth of my portfolio, you go and cash it in at a lower taxpayer.
Is there a threshold for that, or is there a maximum that you can do for that?
No. Obviously, if it takes them over their tax threshold, yeah? And you think about it, a lot of our clients, and the way that the world works with people that earn more money, wives generally either aren't working or don't earn as high an income. Yeah, and certainly the kids don't. So segmentation is really good. You can gift away your segments. It helps reduce your tax liability.
Are you limited to whom you can segment?
No,
It could be anybody.
anybody. Yeah, yeah. You can gift.
You can actually recycle that into their own bank.
Well, there's all sorts of stuff you can do. Okay. Don't forget the rules on portfolio bonds are set by life company.
FCA.
No, HMRC. Okay. Life policies and portfolio bonds have been around decades upon decades upon decades, right? This is well enshrined in UK tax law. This isn't a, don't tell the accountant, put it there and we'll put it in your dog's name. This is, like, it's probably the most above board policy that you have. All right, so segmentation is definitely a benefit as well.
These accounts are created in the Isle of Man, I understand, or?
Yeah. Or Guernsey. Yeah, any of those. But you can get onshore UK bonds as well. You've got to be in the UK to open one. All right.
Reece, do you, because when I looked at it in detail as well, you don't pay dealing fees, do you, inside some of the bonds that we offer?
It depends what you're buying as well, mate. But they have minimum dealing charges.
So you don't do, would you actually mention that to a client?
It's in the reasons why that. It's like £7, sometimes it's 20 quid or whatever else. But it's no different to having a stock brokerage account. That's the key thing I would say.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, you cannot buy a share. If I want to buy a share in Shell, I can't knock on their offices with 500 dirhams and say, give me a share. I have to do that via a broker. There's no other way you can do it.
But
but
what I'm getting at is that actually, like, in terms of like, it's going to be cheaper to rebalance a portfolio bond than it is just
Yeah, definitely, especially when you're looking at cross currencies.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I want to quickly come back onto this this tax point, okay? Because again, we have this mental block about this 5% withdrawal. I've told you the 5% withdrawal is not on growth. It's your capital that you're taking back, okay? So let's say I put in 50k, yeah, and I've only got 5k of growth, all right? 5k of growth. So I put in 50, I've made 5, it's that 3-year scenario where I want to take out 25%. How does that work? Somebody take me through what I'm going to have to pay tax on.
So say that.
You're based
So
here,
five-
right?
So I've had the plan 3 years,
Yeah,
right? So we know that I can take 15% from here, can't I?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've had it for 3 years, yeah? But I want 25%.
And your growth is only, what, 10?
5k.
So it's 55.
You're only gonna pay tax on the 10% of the whole capital, right?
Okay, hang on, I think I've balls up the numbers, here we go. Say my growth is 2.5, right, so I want 10%, that's my extra 5%, the numbers aren't exactly right. So I need another 10%, yeah, so I've taken my 15 from here, but I need another 10%. But my growth's only 5%. So how am I going to get my money out?
Withdraw from the account?
Huh?
You'll take from the account?
Well, I wash this out. So actually, Reece, there's only 5% there, so I've cleared that out. So I now come back and take my other 5% from here. That's tax-free, isn't it? This is always tax-free, guys. Yeah? Does that make sense? 'Cause it's really, really important. Yeah? So if I've got a plan, I put in 50k, and I'm back in the UK, and it hasn't grown, and I've still got 50k, how much can I withdraw from my plan tax-free?
50k.
50k.
So can you say that when you're going to withdraw, say you invest $1 million
Yeah.
and it's grown by $2 million,
Yeah.
the first $1 million I want to take from the original capital. I don't want it from the growth.
No, you can only do it in line with your years. So you could do that if you've been in it for 20 years.
Right.
Yeah?
Is there a minimum 20 years?
That would be the minimum because it's 5% per year rolled up.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, this is the key rule, guys. And think about it. Run some scenarios on yourself to think about it. Okay? But you get your years times 5% that you've had your plan that you can take from capital before you look at the growth. If there's no growth or minimum amount of growth, you're dipping straight back into capital.
Good.
Yeah?
So, Reece, so let's say that you have this scenario, right? And then, say, another 5 years goes, and, flat market, let's say you have
Yep.
no growth whatsoever. And now you want to take another withdrawal out.
Yep.
Right? So it's coming out of there.
Yep.
And now is it only 5% of your reduced amount? Because you've taken that additional 5%.
It's 5% of your capital amount.
Okay, so it's 5% of what you initially put in
Yeah.
at any point.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Alright, so I was trying to figure out what a consequence could be of taking that additional 5% from.
No consequence.
Okay,
Okay.
gotcha.
So the key thing when you're running your own scenarios, and I would set these up, it's like when you do pension calculations, just come up with a client scenario. Okay, so as a little bit of homework, or when you've got 5 minutes at your desk, run a scenario. Go, if my client invested X, they were in the UAE for this, now they're back in the UK, whatever, and try and come up with the right answer. Because we over-strategize the fact that the growth, is going to be so large. And the reality is, people are trying to grow their portfolios at 7 to 10% per year. But because we all want to make it simple for the clients, we go, million, that's a tax. Let's be realistic with our numbers, guys. If they're putting in $1 million, they only want to hold the thing for 10 years, actually go, well, you've got 100 grand of growth. Because what we're doing is we're making these tax bills seem a lot larger than they are.
And regarding, for example, in case of fatality, you pass away. For example, in Spain, there's like inheritance tax of around 40-50%. How could like segmentation give you an advantage in those terms?
It wouldn't give you an advantage. That's where you would look to put a trust around it.
Exactly.
Okay. So you would, and there's multiple trusts and companies you can put around it, mate, for much
Which
difference.
the beer offers as a part of
The life companies will add them on. They're dirt cheap. Okay, but only get to that stage when someone's bought into that, because you start layering trust, and there's different ones for all sorts of stuff. Okay. You can essentially loan money to people. You can have discounted gift trust. There's different ones depending on what your needs are. Okay, so you can have a gift trust where you're gifting the money to your beneficiaries. You can keep the interest gained, but you've made that gift. You'll never get it back. You can have other gift trusts where you say, I'm giving it to them, but I can revoke my powers and take it back if I want to, if I fall out of favour with the kids or whatever else. But if you start off a client meeting going through all of that technical stuff, you won't get them on board with this. Okay? One in a blue moon, you will get somebody that goes, I need X, Y, and Z. I'm thinking of doing this. I want to give money to the kids, but I don't want to lose control. That's my primary concern. What do you do in that scenario?
Meeting with the broker.
Stop. Yeah, exactly. You stop and say, okay, this is getting super technical. We can offer you a solution, but I'm going to do a meeting with you and our technical team. Okay, because you will overcomplicate it. Okay. The best way, I want to go over 2 more things quickly. Why would somebody transfer, they've got stock options, they work for Microsoft or BP or whoever, so they've got $1 million of BP stock. Why would they transfer that stock directly into there?
The US will still tax over $60,000 of American stock.
Yeah, why?
If
Yeah.
they pass away.
Dividends in the US pay tax like yearly, and now you can pay at the end.
Okay, so if I've got any stocks, why would I put it in there? I'm happy, I've got this account with work, it says I've got $1 million in stock. Why would I put it in there?
Because if you hold $60,000 worth of, like Microsoft for example, the IRS will still want to tax you.
Or the UK. But what's the key thing? If I get a dividend, what's happening?
It's going into it's
Yeah.
counting towards your growth over there.
No, but if I've got it in my own name, I've got these shares, I'm happy with it, it's not complicated, I'm not buying and selling shares, but through my employment I've got $1 million or £1 million to the UK, £1 million of shares, I'm happy with that account.
You can reinvest the growth within the wrapper.
The key point is you're not paying taxes when you sell it or when you get a dividend. Now why wouldn't I sell those shares and put the cash into the bond?
Because then you'd have to pay
It's a
tax.
taxable event. A transfer from one account to another is not a taxable event. What have I sold? Nothing. I haven't sold anything. I've still got the share. It's still the same price. All that's happened is the custody has gone from whoever the work providers the custody or whatever platform they use into the bond. Okay? So this is a top tip for you guys. When people have money invested, and a lot of our clients will, and they've got shares here and there, you really need to drill down on, okay, well, what's your plan for those shares? When you get a dividend, you need to pay tax. When are you going to sell them? You'll be better just moving your money, your shares from A to B. Don't sell them because there's these tax benefits, Mr. Client. Okay, most of the really big portfolio bonds we do are share transfers. Okay, people put in $5 million worth of shares. Because for them, how much money are they putting in the bond?
Zero.
Zero. I'm not putting any money in. All I'm doing is changing. It's no different if I have a £1 million bank account with Lloyds Bank and I open up a HSBC account to put £1 million in. How much does it cost me? Nothing. I'm not writing a cheque for $1 million. I'm just transferring it from A to B because I prefer their services. Yeah, you're doing it here because you prefer the tax benefit. Yeah?
And that is transferred with the ISIN number, the IS number, and that's it?
Yeah. Okay, so let's one little scenario. I know we're a little bit pressed for time. I got given 100k of shares. I'm UK, and I grow that to 1 million. Yeah? I really want my money out. I want to sell these shares. Selling that in the UK, and I live in the UK, I'm going to have one whopper of a tax bill, aren't I? Yep. If I transfer that into a PPB, so I now have 1 million, and I sell that share, those shares, how much is my growth?
Well, the moment you transfer it in, nothing.
Nothing.
Zero. I've just removed 900 grand's worth of growth. Yeah? Zero. That's how much I put in. That's the start value. Not that. Yeah? So again, if you're looking at people that have worked for big companies, they'll all have shares, and this is their retirement plan. I'm going to sell my shares. Yeah? Well, actually, you can put it in there. We're starting at 1 million. That's our capital amount that we've put in. Yeah? Super important.
So that's 5% on your gross roll up on 1 million up to start with.
Yeah. Okay, so there's massive tax benefits, but to finish, sell the sizzle, not the sausage. Okay, the key thing with a lot of our people is they want to invest, whether it's in a note or a fund or buy shares. Sell them on the investment if that's what they want. But you need a home for that, Mr. Client. Here's the account for you. Okay, so when I lived in Qatar, in 2 years I would have sold probably 75 portfolio bonds. Of those 75, at the meetings, the first and second meeting, I reckon I would have gone into the tax details on 10 of those clients. The others, the need was, I want to go and buy some notes and I've got 100 grand to invest. Okay, well, here's the account you need to be able to access the market to buy your notes. And then what I would do at the review meeting is I'd say, oh, by the way, we've got 15 minutes. I also want to tell you about one of the tax benefits for the plan you already have. Yeah? Why did I do it that way rather than going through all the tax benefits and the note and everything else? Overcomplicating it. I've ticked their need. I've ticked their need. Yeah? In the same way, some of you might know a lot about cars. I know nothing. Okay? Most people buy a car based on what?
A to B.
Does it have enough seats for the kids? Is the boot big enough? How much is the fuel and the safety rating? But the guy selling you the car, what's he interested in? Other than his tickle, what's he interested in? Engine size, right? What the upgrades can be. So you buy that car and that's when they go, oh, by the way, it's also got this, or it's got that, it's got that. I ain't interested. Yeah, I'm interested in the practical things. So what most of your clients are interested in the fact that they've got 200 grand in the bank, they don't know what to do with it. So hit their first point of, I can set you up with a wealth account, you can have multiple currencies, you can buy pretty much whatever you like, blah, 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 blah. Get them to invest their money. Second time you meet them for a review, by the way, Andy, you're a British guy, can I just spend 10 minutes of the plan you've already got with this add-on that it's got? Yeah, similar to when I take my car for a service, the IT geeks plug into the computer. Do you know you can do this on a little screen? I had no idea. No idea. Yeah, or my mobile phone when somebody comes along, oh, do you know you can get your pictures to scroll? I had no idea. I didn't buy it for that. I bought it to make phone calls and get emails on. Do the same thing with a portfolio bond.
You're never calling it a portfolio bond, really.
I always call it a wealth account. I keep referencing a portfolio bond because it's on the train, it's what everyone will refer to it as. Okay? Darren and Rebecca are great resources for going through technical stuff, but they will overcomplicate it. It's good for a small percentage of your clients. They will overcomplicate it. Okay? Very much in the same way, you've got a client interested in investing £10,000 into some funds, and you get, which you could, you get all of the DVAM fund managers to speak to your client. Are they going to confuse your client when they're talking about alpha, Sharpe ratios, volatility, so that the client doesn't invest? Of course they will, which is why we have a job. Our job is to take what the geeks say, filter it through our brains to talk to the end consumer that's just going to get bamboozled with that stuff.
So use them for the engineers.
Exactly that. Yeah. You know, you speak to a crypto guy and they've got, I've got this wallet, it's on my little key ring or whatever, and then us idiots go, I want to buy some crypto, I use Coinbase. Because they do all of that weird stuff for you because you don't understand it. Set up your IP, well, I don't know what you're talking about, mate, I'll just have the simple solution. Okay? Don't be afraid of these vehicles. Every client that has money should have one. Yeah? If nothing else, even if they're in a country where it doesn't particularly provide the tax benefits, it just gives you access to market. You can put all of your assets in one place. You're reducing your admin. Okay? A lot of people, when you're brand new, you try and aim towards platforms, okay, because you believe they're easier to understand. Let me tell you this, they're exactly the same thing, apart from this does provide you with benefits. Okay? If you've got somebody, you're not very confident, so Raoul, let's say you took on a client, they put 100 grand into a platform. You've done a great job, right? And the investments are doing really well. I've done this game for a long time, you work for a different company, and I met your client, guarantee I'll be able to take that client off you. 100%. So I'd say, well, that's all well and good, but you've got zero tax benefits. You've got less choice. I could keep your investments exactly the same and reduce your tax liability overnight. Why didn't your advisor explain that to you? I'm taking that client, could be your best man, I'm taking them because you've done all the hard work getting them to invest, but I can just go, okay, well you can have exactly that, don't need to make any changes, but I can make it tax efficient, I can do this. Change of advisor straight to me.
Yeah, so the other day, like, I had obviously 2 days in the job, and I talked to this guy that had a portfolio in interactive brokers.
Yeah.
And I knew, like, you know, I was lacking something in the pitch, but I'm sure that if I give him a call and explain this, how it would be better than an interactive brokers account, I think it's a good selling point.
It's a key point, okay? And don't forget, most people you deal with, they don't like the DIY approach, no matter what they say. 90% of people have no idea about finances. Yeah, so when they go, oh yeah, but my mate told me to go and get an interactive brokers account, or this account, or that account, yeah, it's all well and good, they can't manage it. They cannot manage it. Yeah, they're online trying to do it themselves, they balls it up, they lose money, it becomes disheveled. You will never get clients from a policy point of view, and those guys that have been around a long time, print off a nice policy, I can see everything there. That's what people want. Yeah, they don't want complicated, buy it all yourself. Okay? So for every time you come across clients with money, don't shy away from this plan. What I would always encourage you to do, okay, same with regulars and something else, if somebody's got £1 million in their bank account, don't forget to put that £1 million into here. What do they need to do? I've got £1 million in my bank account. Not doing anything. I want to invest. You've got me on this plan. What do I still need to do that you can't do for me?
Put the money into it, yeah.
I need to go on my online banking and type in Royal London this account number.
Yeah.
Does that make people nervous? Fucking right it does. I'm in finance. I've had to do some big investments myself, and I'm still like, well, hang on, I'll leave it till tomorrow. Yeah, because it's fear. I'm sending a large sum of money. So if they do want to, Mick wants to send £1 million, I'd always go, look, that's well and good, but you don't know me, you don't know the product. The minimum starting value is 50, why don't we do 100k? 100k, we get it all set up, 4 weeks later you can see it there, we'll take the other 900. If you do it that way, it will issue way, way quicker. Okay, and once they've done it once, they send the next 900, they're like afraid? No, because they've done it once, it works, it's easy. Yeah? Cool. All the top writers in the company, this is something that they all do a hell of a lot of business on, because you're providing real benefit for your clients. So platforms are good for people with less money, but just because this seems more complicated, do not shy away from it. Okay, you'll get a lot of clients that will invest 300 grand because they want to invest 300 grand, they don't really care about tax. But try and go for the right product from the outset. All right, please don't be afraid of it. Don't overcomplicate it. As soon as you're overcomplicating it, just stop and say, I need to go back and speak to the technical guys. Yeah?
How do you structure your fee